Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Lee Sanders, and you're listening to a very special edition of the RCWR Show. As guess what, folks? It's that time again. It's another edition of Call That Match, and this episode is going to be tackling the TNA Sacrifice pay-per-view that is going to be coming up this Sunday. And I apologize for those of you that were looking for this special on YouTube for Friday, but I got home yesterday. I was really tired, and I was gonna do the show as soon as SmackDown had went off the air, and the next thing I know, I woke up 14 hours later and I said to myself, what the heck just happened? But on a good note, I got plenty of good rest. So with that in mind, this is gonna be one good episode. And for those of you that are not familiar with the Call That Match editions, the way that we do it over here is I put my thinking cap on as a writer, because I have been a writer for a little bit over 20 years now, and I also used to book matches for a little funky rinky-dinky up-and-coming wrestling promotion that thankfully is no longer in business. And I try to approach from a writing standpoint how the finish to the matches should play out, but at the same time I also try to figure out how to book the matches right and determine what storyline, what angle, what rivalries the winners and the losers should go next. So it's a really good show, and this is exclusively for the YouTube audience. When we do the Call the Match specials, we don't offer them anywhere else. It is just exclusive for the folks on YouTube and our subscribers and anybody that just likes this type of a show where we try to figure out how each match is going to play out. So you guys are more than welcome to chime in your thoughts on who you feel might win their respective matches of this pay-per-view. You can either leave a comment, and assuming that it's a clean comment, it'll definitely get approved and we'll definitely post it. If it's a little naughty comment, you might as well save your typing, because there's just no way that it's gonna pass through. So this is really our way of giving back to those that have continued to support the show in recent months since it launched, and the ton of positive feedback that we've been getting on our show. So this is our way of giving back to the fans when we do these specials. So now that you know what the Call That Match is about, let's go on ahead and let's jump right to it. I'm going to be tackling this from the bottom of the card to the very top. So with that in mind, let's get right into it. I hope you got yourself a cold one, as this should be pretty awesome. So first up, we have the Austin Aries versus Bully Ray match. Now, as we all have seen, Bully Ray has been just being what his first name is, a bully. And he's been sitting up, and he's just been dominating on the TNA roster. Other than the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Roode, Bully Ray, for a guy that doesn't have a belt around his waist, on his shoulders, whatever, this guy has been sitting up, and he has been making one hell of an impression each week on Impact Wrestling. And right now he is in a really great storyline / rivalry with Austin Aries, and this is pretty much one of those stories that to me just has reminiscence of that bully that you would hate running into in elementary school, junior high. He is just one of those bullies who you pray is not going to come up to you and embarrass you in the cafeteria, take your lunch money, okay, give you a wedgie, give you a black eye. This is just one of those guys you just hope you don't run into. You hope that maybe he's in detention all day, or maybe he's at home on punishment. You just hope that you don't run into this guy. And I love what's going on with this storyline, as that's what it reminds me of. And Austin Aries just comes off like this kid that's just not gonna stand up for this guy's bullying, and he's gonna do everything he can to put an end to it. So many of us could definitely relate to this story. Now, me, I actually used to be a bully at one point in my life. When I was in school, I would pick on people. I used to act just like Bully Ray, but even I had a heart at some point, which is where those who have been bullies can draw that line, as Bully Ray has really taken it to that next level, I feel. And this is a classic story right here. And I like how the two of these guys have been going at it back and forth each week. I love how Austin Aries came to the aid of Jeremy Borash, who would not dare lift a hand to defend himself, as he was basically being bitched around by Bully Ray a couple of weeks back on an episode of Impact Wrestling. And here's Austin Aries, a guy who's a little bit shorter than Jeremy Borash, coming to his rescue to get him out of a serious jam and just really bringing the fight to Bully Ray. Now, it's unfortunate that the X Division title isn't going to be on the line, but for those of you that were looking for that, this really is not about the X Division title, although I agree the belt should be on the line, but it's not really about the X Division title. This is basically about trying to put a bully in his place. Now, let's talk about this match. Now, as far as who should win this match, I think that the person that needs to win this match needs to be Austin Aries. Now, the way I kind of see this match playing out, and first off, let me just make sure that the record is set. Okay, I am doing this Call That Match special at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern on a May 12th of 2012. So I have not seen the results yet, and you all are going to be able to see the upload date of when this video has been uploaded. And as we all know, there's definitely no way to sabotage that on YouTube, so this is definitely legit, folks. Now, if I were to write this, after saying all that, if I were to write this, the way I would set this up, we have to keep in mind that Joseph Parks has been gunning for Bully Ray ever since he was first put under his radar a few weeks back. And Joseph Parks is just at that position right now where he really feels that Bully Ray knows something about what happened to his brother Abyss, or he's pretty much at that conclusion right now where he knows that Bully Ray definitely is behind the recent absence of Abyss. Either way, Joseph Parks, he's eyeballing Bully Ray real good. Now, keeping that in mind, keeping in mind of the short few words that he's had with Bully Ray over the past few weeks, and Bully Ray basically being a bit evasive and quick to be on the defensive side whenever the subject of Abyss comes up, I would love to see Joseph Parks interfere in this contest. That would enable Austin Aries to get the win, because let's face it, Austin Aries, he may be faster than Bully Ray, he may be more technical than Bully Ray, but Bully Ray has the strength, He has the in-ring experience, and if he needs to, he can get very dirty. He can be as dirty as Ric Flair. He can be as dirty as Terry Funk. So, keeping all that in mind, you're gonna need to have a monkey wrench thrown into this match, and I think that monkey wrench needs to be Joseph Parks. Now, as I said, I can see Joseph Parks in a writing standpoint and how I would set it up. I would like to see Joseph Parks interfere in this match and basically cause Bully Ray the victory, and this will officially be the start of a feud between Bully Ray and Joseph Parks to really get down to the heart of the matter. Now, could this rivalry extend between Bully Ray and Austin Aries after Joseph Parks screws Bully Ray out of the win? I could maybe see a follow-up rematch on an episode of Impact Wrestling, but I really think it really wouldn't even be worth it. I think they just really need to let it be about Bully Ray and Joseph Parks right now, because we got the Slammiversary pay-per-view just around the corner. So keeping that in mind, I definitely think that the rivalry between Bully Ray and Austin Aries needs to come to an end this Sunday. So, as I've said, we got Bully Ray, who is going to continue his program feud with Joseph Parks. Now, where does that leave Austin Aries? Well, it's about time for Austin Aries to continue on defending that X Division title. I feel what I would like to see Austin Aries do next, I would love to see him sit up and enter some type of a feud with maybe Christopher Daniels, or maybe he could get into a feud with Kazarian, or hey, Zema Ion just recently returned. Maybe he could continue to work some type of a program with him, as Zema Ion just resurfaced last Thursday on Impact Wrestling, and it had been the first time that we seen him in a long time, and it seemed like at one point this guy was destined to become the TNA X Division champion, but then ever since what went down with Jesse Sorsen and that freak accident that has sidelined him for the remainder of this year, and a ETA return of 2013, Zema Ion's just been slipping ever since, to the point where he hadn't been on TV for several weeks. I'd like to see Zema Ion do something with Austin Aries going into the Slammiversary pay-per-view, as he's definitely proved that he can deliver. And I have to give the kid credit. Even though he may have had a part in injuring Jesse Sorsen, he never broke character. And that's probably the number one thing that you can do when you're put in that type of a circumstance, is to not break character. And he did a phenomenal job as a young wrestler in making sure that he just continued on with the match, remain in character. It might have gained him a lot more heat, but he did what needed to be done. So I definitely feel that he deserves the opportunity to work a program, a X Division program with Austin Aries for that title. So it'll be interesting to see if it plays out like that. But the way I'm going to call this match right now, I definitely have Bully Ray losing this match, and Austin Aries will be victorious. So Austin Aries is going to be my winner. Now, let's move on with the next match that we have on the card, which is Jeff Hardy taking on Mr. Anderson. Now, here's a scenario where you got Jeff Hardy and Mr. Anderson, who really are ending up in this match as a result of a miscommunication. It was a couple of weeks back, I believe it was, where both of these men had their respective matches. Jeff Hardy was taking on his good friend RVD, and Mr. Anderson, if I'm not mistaken, he was taking on, and the name will come to me in a second, he was taking on Robert Roode. Now, let's go to Jeff Hardy and RVD's match. Remember, it was Robert Roode who came down to the ring, and he was trying to cause Jeff Hardy the win, but that didn't really... correction, he was actually trying to cause RVD the win, because RVD was the new #1 contender to face him at the Sacrifice pay-per-view for the World Heavyweight title. And he tried to cost RVD the victory, but what happens? He accidentally hits Jeff Hardy, and as a result of that, RVD was able to pick up the win. Now, later on in this contest, we would see Mr. Anderson take on Robert Roode, and Jeff Hardy, remembering that it was Robert Roode who cost him the win over RVD, he would try to interfere in the match at one point as the referee was down, or distracted rather, and he would try to sit up and he would try to get a little bit of payback. But what would happen? He would get caught up in the crossfire as Mr. Anderson, who really, he didn't even know who he had, as his eyes had got hurt somehow during the contest, and he was given a mic check to Jeff Hardy. So that's where the miscommunication / feud between these two men came from, which has now set us up for these two men going one-on-one this Sunday against each other. So with that backstory in mind, well, who's got more to gain from the victory? Now, Mr. Anderson, you go over to his side. He really hasn't been doing anything since he's returned to Impact Wrestling. You got Jeff Hardy, on the other hand, who day by day, month after month, he has been winning over his critics. He has been getting back in good graces with the TNA roster, TNA management, with the fans. He is just on that steady uprise right now. And I definitely think that you have to continue to capitalize on the momentum that he's been gaining within recent weeks. And with that in mind, I think that Jeff Hardy is more deserving of the win. I don't really feel that the win would do anything for Mr. Anderson right now. And let me be honest here, Mr. Anderson, he's got the great thing going on with the microphone, and he's got the little Stone Cold walk and saying his name twice. He's got all those cool things that are going on, but when he gets in that ring, it's an entirely different story. And I've heard so many people say he needs to make up his mind on what type of wrestler he wants to be, and I agree 100%, because on the one hand, like I said, he's coming down the ring like Stone Cold. He says his name twice, and then he's calling everybody assholes, and then once he gets in the ring, none of that really reflects what he's doing as he's coming down to the stage. And it's kind of hard to believe that at one point Mr. Anderson was the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Keeping all that in mind, what would a win over Jeff Hardy really do for the career of Mr. Anderson? It just really wouldn't do anything, honestly. Now, what should happen to Mr. Anderson? Well, here's a really cool idea. What I would like to see happen. I would like to see Mr. Anderson work a program with Devon. Now, I'll be talking about Devon in a little bit, but I would like to see Devon work a program. I apologize, folks. I would like to see Mr. Anderson work a program with Mr. Anderson, as Devon is now back on a weekly basis defending his television title. Or hey, maybe Mr. Anderson needs to team up with maybe a returning Pope D'Angelo if this guy is still on the TNA roster, and form a tag team with him and see if maybe they could try to dethrone Magnus and Samoa Joe. Only time will tell, but I really just feel that Mr. Anderson definitely doesn't need to pick up this victory right now. It just doesn't make any sense. Jeff Hardy is white hot, and I'm not choosing fan favorites here. I'm just going with my gut instincts. I got to give it to Jeff Hardy. So Jeff Hardy for the win. Where does Jeff Hardy go after this? Well, I would like to see Jeff Hardy continue his campaign to get back to that mountaintop and reclaim his TNA World Heavyweight title. Of course, Robert Roode will probably have a different story to tell, as he probably is not going to be interested in giving Jeff Hardy another title shot opportunity, but Jeff Hardy could still be very close to being a new #1 contender. In the meantime, Jeff Hardy is another one who could possibly go after the television title, or maybe he could somehow end up forming a tag team with Mr. Anderson to take on the team of Samoa Joe and Magnus for those X Division titles. That would be a really nice, interesting scenario. I could definitely see that happen. Will it happen? I'm not really sure. One other scenario that could happen with Jeff Hardy is maybe he could work some type of a program with Kazarian. It would be really nice to see on a next episode of Impact Wrestling Jeff Hardy talking to the crowd and saying that, hey, he beat Mr. Anderson, and that as a result of that, he definitely feels that he deserves to be the new #1 contender to face the TNA champion, which could prompt Kazarian to come out. Now, I know we have Kazarian and Daniels involved in their little program right now with AJ Styles, but who says you can't juggle two acts? That's all I'm saying. So it would really be nice to see Jeff Hardy feud with Kazarian, and besides, I think the two of them would really have a great match together. I think they could tell a really good story leading up to a pay-per-view when they go one-on-one. But once again, I'm going with Jeff Hardy for the win. Alright, so next match that we got on the card, we got Kurt Angle, who's taking on AJ Styles. Now, let's get familiar with the backstory to this. We got AJ Styles, who's a bit distracted right now because Kazarian and Christopher Daniels, they just revealed the bombshell that AJ Styles apparently has been very intimate with TNA President Dixie Carter for who knows how long, as Daniels and Kazarian are speculating that it's been since day one, and this is why AJ Styles has been on top of the company for so long. So we have a somewhat of a distracted AJ Styles who is taking on the Olympian athlete Kurt Angle. Now we got Kurt Angle, who lost to Jeff Hardy at the last pay-per-view, and Kurt Angle, who we thought was maybe going to be taking some well-deserved time off, as he did say he was going to be off for a couple of months to heal up, but that he'd be back in time for the Sacrifice pay-per-view. He's actually been on Impact Wrestling for I don't know how many weeks now wrestling. So keeping all that in mind and what's been going on with Kurt Angle as of late, without a doubt, this is going to be a really great match. This is definitely probably going to be one of those matches that we're going to walk away from and we're going to be saying to ourselves, man, that was the show stealer match of the whole pay-per-view. It definitely has the potential. I am definitely looking for Kurt Angle and AJ Styles to put on a 5-star quality type of match. That I definitely feel that we can bank on this Sunday. But now the big question, who deserves the victory? Who gets the most momentum by picking up this victory? Well, we got to keep in mind that AJ Styles, he's a little bit distracted right now by Daniels and Kazarian. And the reason why I mentioned them as I was talking about this particular matchup is because if I was writing this, I would like to see Kazarian and Daniels interfere in this match and kind of continue to rub in the face of AJ Styles the dirt that they have on him. Now, I have Kurt Angle being the type of guy who's going to set up, and he's already said it to Kazarian and Daniels to not interfere in his match with AJ, that he wants to make him submit. I would like to see a hot-headed Kurt Angle at the pay-per-view say to these guys, hey, get the hell out of here. You're messing up my match with AJ. I could definitely see Angle and Styles form some type of a alliance, okay? Now, if I were writing this and booking this right, I would definitely have AJ Styles lose to Kurt Angle, but then set it up so that Kurt Angle realizes that the victory is tainted because Kazarian and Daniels, they had something to do in this match, and Kurt Angle gets really hot-headed and tries to tell them, why did you interfere in this match? I told you not to interfere in this match. And he actually shows a little bit of compassion and he tries to go see if AJ is okay, and Daniels and Kazarian, they just proceed to stomp a mud hole in Kurt Angle and AJ Styles, which would force the two of them to form some type of a alliance that could continue on the episode of Impact Wrestling where they are in a tag team match against Daniels and Kazarian. And hey, if Kurt Angle still needs to take a little bit of time off, maybe they could do something dirty on Impact Wrestling, and leading up into the tag match, maybe they could take out Kurt Angle and then it becomes a handicap match. So that would be a really cool way to set it all up. So Kurt Angle, he definitely, I feel, is going to pick up the victory over AJ Styles, but definitely expect Kazarian and Daniels to be involved in this contest. Let's move on to the next match now, folks. We got the TNA Knockouts Championship on the line as Gail Kim defends it against Brooke Tessmacher. Now, I have been a little bit critical on Brooke Tessmacher within recent weeks, as she has just been able to defeat Gail Kim not once, not twice, but 3 times. 3 consecutive weeks now. And she even picked up a victory over Velvet Sky. So this kind of leaves you this question to ask. Is Brooke Tessmacher that damn good that she's going to become the TNA Knockouts champion? Now, Brooke Tessmacher, she's been with the company for a few years now, but I definitely don't think that she is deserving of the Knockouts Championship. And as much as I like to watch the Knockouts wrestle each week on Impact Wrestling, as I feel they put on a phenomenal match whenever they are on the show, I feel they put on a phenomenal match, better than the WWE Divas. Number one, the Knockouts, they are able to tell more of a story in the ring. They try to be original in sense of they try to put their personalities into the ring, and they just put on one hell of an entertaining match. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for the WWE Divas. I mention the WWE Divas for a particular reason. When I look at Brooke Tessmacher, she just does not have any personality. She's just very bland, and she has maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 new moves that she can bust out, but that's really it. And she's just a pretty face with just no personality. And with that in mind, I just feel that she's definitely not of TNA Knockouts champion material right now. Now, this could be a scenario where Hulk Hogan could be the guy backstage pulling the strings, trying to get Brooke over, as he feels that she's really hot, and he's probably saying all kinds of crap to make sure that Brooke gets her time to shine in the spotlight. Now, my heart is telling me that Brooke Tessmacher will become the new Knockouts champion. Okay? That's what my heart is telling me. But my gut is telling me that Gail Kim could retain her Knockouts title. If there was ever a sense of urgency right now for the Knockouts champion, it will be this Sunday, as the sense of urgency is going to be more heightened than ever. Because going into this pay-per-view, talk about confidence being shaken. This girl has gotten beat by Brooke 3 times now. Can Brooke make it happen a 4th time? This is really up in the air, I feel. Now, who deserves this more? Well, Gail Kim, she really hasn't been doing too much since she's been back in TNA this time around. Just the second week that she was back in TNA, she got the TNA Knockouts belt put around her waist, and she really just hasn't been doing anything as far as defending it, if you will. And I would like to see the title change hands. I just don't feel that Brooke needs to be that person. Now, I know we got some people that'll sit up and say, well, Velvet Sky has already been champion before. This really needs to be about Brooke Tessmacher right now. Let's see what she can do. And I can respect those that feel that way. But at the same time, Brooke Tessmacher, she really doesn't capture the audience. As I said on a previous episode a few weeks back, this is why she's probably sitting up wearing the red, white, and blue, because you can't really boo or knock somebody that wears the American flag, you know? So it's really up in the air. I wish I could say I would like to see Brooke Tessmacher go heel, but she can't even really pull that off, I don't believe. Here's what I would like to do with this match if I was writing it. I would love to see Velvet Sky come into this match and is just rooting on Brooke Tessmacher, just really cheering her on and encouraging her to keep doing what she's doing in the ring, and then really pick her moment to strike, and then go on ahead and attack Brooke Tessmacher when the referee doesn't see it, to help Gail Kim pick up the victory and retain her TNA Knockouts title, thus setting up Brooke to work a program with Velvet Sky. Velvet Sky has proved time and time again that she can be a very good heel. She's proved that she can work the crowd. Let's not forget how long she was paired up with Angelina Love, the Beautiful People, and they really cut some decent stuff on the microphone, I feel. So Velvet does know how to work that heel angle really well. And if there was ever a time that the Knockouts need a little bit more heels right now, now is the good time, because the only heel that I can establish on the TNA roster right now is Gail Kim, Madison Rayne. That's it. Everybody else is faces. So it's definitely time to throw one more heel into the mix. So I'm going to call it. I'm going to say that Gail Kim is going to retain her title with the help of Velvet Sky. Now, I did it like this because I can respect and appreciate if they don't want to make Brooke go heel, because they kind of see that the fans, they do like her, that she does have a bit of that interest, and I can respect them if they want to try to protect her and they want to try to see if they can continue to capitalize on the new interest that fans have in her. So this is why I've set it up the way that it is, so that she still is the baby face, and it really helps her get over with the crowd even more. This way, if they really are trying to set her up to be a Knockouts champion, it'll make that much more of a impact, I feel. No pun intended. Alright, let's move on with the next match. We got the TNA Television Championship, and that is going to be on the line as Devon defends it against Robbie E and Robbie T. Now, remember what set this up, as Devon had his miscommunication problems, if you will, when he was taking on Little Robbie at the last pay-per-view, which was Lockdown, and we hadn't seen either of those two guys in a month or whatever. And you fast forward to now, I like how the rivalry has been picking up a little bit. It's been a bit sloppy in some areas, but it looks like it's kind of caught back on the rebound, which is good. So we have this triple threat match, and like I said on a previous episode a while back, if you're gonna do this right, you gotta have at some point Big Robbie say to himself, you know what, I don't really need to be working for you. This is nothing more than a distraction. I really need to be becoming a champion. That's why I joined TNA. And remember, I pointed out how silly and how stupid it was to have Robbie E interfere in Big Robbie's match against Devon and cost him the chance to win the television title. And Big Robbie isn't even upset at Robbie E for what he did when he took the plastic clipboard and cracked it over the head of Devon, costing Big Robbie the match. And I criticized the hell out of it and said that that was a very poor finish, that that's not what should have happened, that Devon should have gotten a win, and then post-match he should have been attacked. So I like how they kind of realized that they messed up when they did that and quickly rebound by doing this triple threat match. Now, if there was ever a time for miscommunication, this would be the match. I'm calling it right now. I definitely think that Devon is going to retain, because you got Robbie E and you got Big Robbie in there. There's going to be that miscommunication. Robbie, Big Robbie that is, he's going to try to go for a tag. Robbie E, he's going to try to get Big Robbie off him and say, what are you doing? This is supposed to be my opportunity. I'm the champion. Remember, you're working for me. And I definitely see the two Robbies going head to head, and it basically being the end of their business arrangements, if you will. So what could happen after this Well, I would like to see the two Robbies get into a bit of a program together. If there was ever a time for Big Robbie to become a face, now would be a good time, as I don't really think he is getting over as a bad guy, or he never did get over as a bad guy. I think now would be a really good opportunity to try to make him be a face right now and have him work a program with Robbie E going in the Slammiversary, as Robbie E has proven that he can be a guy that you can boo, a guy that you can hate, and I think Robbie E could definitely help carry Big Robbie. So I would love to see the two Robbies work a program together. Now, where does that leave Devon? Well, he retains the title. He continues to defend it. As I said earlier, I would love to see perhaps Mr. Anderson work a program with Devon. I think the two of them would really have some great chemistry together. It's something that hasn't been done in TNA, as I can't even recall these two guys ever facing one another. So I definitely think that that's the next person that Devon should try to work with. If Devon doesn't work a program with Mr. Anderson, then the only other person I can think of that could work a program with Devon could be maybe Crimson. I think Crimson would be a really good pick right now, because you have Matt Morgan, who is out the way right now as he was assaulted by Bully Ray, and whenever Matt Morgan gets pretty healed up, you can rest assured that he's probably going to be gunning for Bully Ray as well, which just really gave me a really groovy idea now that I think about it. You know that match that I was talking about with Austin Aries and Bully Ray, and how Joseph Parks may interfere? Well, let's throw Matt Morgan into that mix as well, as he definitely has some unfinished business with Bully Ray. I'll recap again before the show is over, but that's what I would like to see happen in that TNA television title match. But once again, Devon picks up the victory. Let's move on with the next match. We got the TNA Tag Team Championship, as Magnus and Samoa Joe will be defending it against Daniels and Kazarian. Now, remember what I said earlier in the night, where Daniels and Kazarian, they've interfered in Kurt Angle and AJ Styles' match. Now, one good turn deserves another. I would like to see Angle and Styles interfere in this contest and beat the living hell out of Daniels and Kazarian, to the point where the referee has no choice but to call for the bell and disqualify Magnus and Samoa Joe, but the champs, they get to keep their belts. I would be a little bit surprised if they picked up a clean victory over Daniels and Kazarian, but for me, the tag team match, it's a no-brainer. I see Magnus and Samoa Joe retaining. I would be shocked if the belts were taken off of them this Sunday. Now, I've already said what could happen with Daniels and Kazarian. What could happen with Magnus and Samoa Joe? Well, like I said, it would be really nice to see, at this point, the Motor City Machine Guns come back and maybe have a conversation with Hulk Hogan and say, look, we respected your decision weeks back on the episode of Open Fight Night, and you said that we just weren't ready. You had concern about us, as we have been known to be injury prone in the past, but we really want to prove ourselves to you, Hogan, that you can trust us in the ring, that we are back, we're better than ever, our bodies are stronger than ever, we can definitely hold up in the ring give us a chance to become the new #1 contenders to face Magnus and Samoa Joe. And Hulk Hogan can be like, well, boys, look, let me think about it. Let me get back to you. See me next week on Impact and we'll talk about it more. Then the next week, Hogan can call them out into the ring and say, yeah, boys, I thought about it. You all bring up some very valid points. Look, I'm going to give you the opportunity to prove that you do have what it takes, and it's not going to be a easy one for you. You're going to have a few challenges, and maybe Hogan could set something up like for 3 consecutive weeks or whatever, that the Motor City Machine Guns, they're going to be in tag team action, and if they can win all 3 of their tag matches, then they get a shot at Magnus and Samoa Joe. That's a really cool scenario that I would like to see happen. Now, will it play out like that? Who knows? But if I was writing, if I was booking it, that's exactly how I would set it up. So, with that in mind, definitely Magnus and Samoa Joe, hands down, they're going to retain their tag team championships. Now, this brings us to the final match of the evening. We got Bobby Roode, who's defending his title against Rob Van Dam. Now, let's keep in mind, Rob Van Dam, who had been gone for we don't know how long, he just comes back, boom, he becomes the new #1 contender to take on the TNA champion, Robert Roode. And Robert Roode has just been white hot. He has just gone through the roster. He's taken out Sting. He's taken out Jeff Hardy. He's taken out Kurt Angle. He's taken out the Cowboy, James Storm. The man has just been on point month after month. And he made a very valid point right now that after this Sunday and being able to hold on to his title for 2 more weeks, he will have become the longest reigning TNA World Heavyweight Champion. So, I definitely feel that with that in mind, Robert Roode is definitely going to retain his title. I think that Robert Roode is going to do some really dirty tactics to retain his title. Now, keep in mind that with all these great matches that I've been going over, notice how the Cowboy James Storm has not been mentioned. James Storm just doesn't have anything to do with this pay-per-view. Now, I know some people would like to toy with the idea that maybe James Storm would make an appearance in this match. I don't see that happening. I think TNA, their writing, the way that they set up James Storm right now, it would just contradict everything that James Storm has been saying the past few weeks with the whole confidence issues. I just don't see him interfering in this match on Sunday. So let's get that out the way right now. This is pretty much going to boil down to who wants to win this belt more. And Robert Roode, he's already proven time and time again that he's willing to do anything and everything to retain his TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Now, you would think that maybe the edge would go to RVD because RVD has had the experience in these type of matches, as the title is going to be on the line in a ladder match. And the stipulation for this match is the only way you can get it is by climbing up a ladder and reaching for the belt, taking it off the hook. That's how you become the champion. Rob Van Dam has the experience, but I think that this is really going to be the type of match that will help strengthen and solidify Robert Roode's reign as TNA champion. He definitely is going to get the job done. That I can promise you. He's going to do it in great fashion. I know a lot of people were upset when Rob Van Dam first became the new #1 contender. I was a little upset about it myself, but then I really thought about it more, and this is the bottom line. Roode has proven that he deserves to be the champion. He's proved that he can be the face of the company. I don't feel that they would just put him in this match with Rob just to take the belt off of him, okay? That's just not gonna happen. So for you all that are freaking out, bashing Rob Van Dam is going to job big time to Robert Roode. He's going to do it in great fashion. So just kick back, relax, take a Xanax or something. It's really not that serious, okay? Just chill, okay? So that's what's going to happen. I'm going to call Robert Roode as the winner of this match. Now, what can happen to RVD afterwards? Well, if AJ Styles doesn't end up forming a alliance with Kurt Angle to take on Daniels and Kazarian, I would like to see Rob Van Dam form a brief alliance with AJ Styles to help him take care of his Daniels and Kazarian problem. That would kind of keep Rob Van Dam relevant, keep him in the mix and everything like that. Now, what could happen with Robert Roode? Well, once more, we could have the same scenario where Robert Roode, he comes out on the next episode of Impact Wrestling and he rubs it in Hogan's face that once again, he's proved why he's been so dominant. He's proved why he is the TNA champion. And this could basically prompt Hogan to come out and say, okay, well, congrats, you've defended your title. You know, we got Slammiversary coming up, and you want to talk a really good game about how you beat this guy, and you beat that guy, and you beat this guy. Well, I'm just curious, can you beat all of those same men that you just talked about in one night? What I would like to see happen, I would like to see a major match announced concerning Robert Roode and his title. I would love to see Robert Roode defended against Jeff Hardy, James Storm, RVD, Mr. Anderson. Make it a 5-way dance, and maybe it could be a type of match where they do a battle royal. The only way to eliminate the person is by pinfall or submission. They could try to set it up like that, or maybe it could be some type of a triple threat match. It's about time to see what Robert Roode can do when the odds are really stacked against him, because though I can appreciate the fact that they can keep doing the whole one-on-one dance, I think now it's about time for them to really stack the odds against him. Let's see Hogan really take advantage of this so-called general manager power that he has as the TNA manager, and let's see how Roode can really operate when the spotlight and the pressure is really on. That's what needs to happen. Will it play out like that? I'm not really sure. Now, if we were to try to sit up and say, well, maybe they could introduce somebody new into the mix to take on Robert Roode, then it's kind of like, okay, well, who would it be? There really isn't anybody else that they can throw into the mix right now. Unfortunately, it's not going to be Matt Morgan. I know we got a lot of hardcore Matt Morgan fans out there. He's got his own stuff that he needs to take care of right now. He would just be a swoop over the head if he were to become the #1 contender. I just don't see that happening. So let's get that out the way right now. There really isn't anybody new. I think Now that Roode has beaten all those people, it's just really time to pull the trigger and put him in a triple threat, fatal 4-way, 5-way type of match to really see what he can do. So that's going to do it for the matches. Now, let's recap. I have Austin Aries defeating Bully Ray. I have Jeff Hardy defeating Mr. Anderson. I have Kurt Angle defeating AJ Styles. I have Gail Kim retaining her Knockouts Championship. I have Devon retaining his TNA Television Championship. I have Samoa Joe and Magnus retaining their TNA Tag Team Championship. And I have Robert Roode retaining his TNA World Heavyweight Championship. So, for all the TNA champions, I got them all retaining. We're going to see exactly what is going to happen this Sunday. And folks, don't forget, if you don't have any plans, if you're not able to watch the Sacrifice pay-per-view, don't go to bed sad. We are going to have you covered beginning at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We are going to have our chat room open. You'll be able to interact with us as the pay-per-view will be live. And we'll also be doing a Sacrifice pay-per-view post-show immediately after the pay-per-view goes off the air. So go ahead, kick back on Sunday, relax with us. We're going to get you covered. Don't set up and don't try to check out those illegal streams, because unfortunately some of them, they have those weird pop-ups. They give you malicious spyware, and the last thing you want is the FBI knocking on your door, as they've been cracking down a lot on that type of stuff that's been circulating around the web. So do yourself a favor, make it your business to interact with us. You can follow us on Twitter at Infinity1Prod. All the links are going to be at the bottom of this video in the description, so just check it out. Check out our chat room, and definitely check out our post show, as it's going to be really cool. We had fun doing it for the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, as we had a chat room open and we had a lot of people that came by, stopped in there and interacted with us. So they loved it, we loved it. We're going to do it again this Sunday, so definitely check that out. And remember, we're going to have our post show, and then of course Tuesday night we're back at our regular time for the RCWR show at 11 p.m. Eastern, as we'll get you caught up on everything that had went down, and I'll give you my reaction to what went down with that week's WWE Raw Super Show, and get you updated on everything that's happened wrestling news related wise. So that is going to do it for this edition of the RCWR show. Sacrifice, call that match. So I really hope that you all enjoyed this. And one other quick note, definitely check out this past Thursday night's deluxe episode of the RCWR show. We had a very special guest by the name of Chris Splendino, who is the UCC president. And for you MMA fans, especially you UFC fans, you definitely want to check out that interview piece. It was really cool. He talked about the direction of his company and what he has in store for it in the upcoming months, and he also gave great insight into what he thought about Brock Lesnar prematurely quitting his MMA career and returning to the WWE. And he also chimed in his thoughts on what's been going down with Kurt Angle as of late. It's a really great interview piece. I really had fun doing it. Make sure you check that out. That's going to do it, folks, until Sunday for the RCWR post-show for the Sacrifice pay-per-view. This is Lee Sanders, and I thank you so much for checking out this YouTube exclusive just for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, feel free to leave a question, comment, or heck, how you would even book this match. And if you book it right, I will definitely give you props on a upcoming episode of the RCWR show. Hope you all are enjoying the weekend and you all catch up on some NBA playoffs. And until Sunday, I'm the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. Till I hear from you Sunday night, be safe and be kind to one another.